Flower girl just wants to fall on the floor. It's like, put me on the floor.
Flower. Yeah, that's on the floor.
What taste is it today? What taste is it?
22, 23? 23, 24, it's a double grist. It's a double grist.
We did.
Jamuna tira vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasura Nandana Braja Jana Jamuna tira vanachari Jamuna tira vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Nectar of instruction. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki Shri Shri Radha Giridhari ki Srimad Bhagavatam ki Samvera Bhakti ki Gaur Premanandi Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shuddha Shishimad His Divine Grace of Vaicharana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada ki Jai Jayo Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajika Jaja Shuddha Shishimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki Jai Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Samveda Bhakti ki Jai Gaur Premanandi all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the assembled devotees all glories to the devotees assembled in the kitchen Hare Krishna Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Vishnu Padaya Krishna Mastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinam. Can you hear in the kitchen okay?
Yes.
We can hear you too. We hear everything you say. We got reverse speaker out here. So this morning we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 26. It's 2 verses. We'll chant the first one together. This is verses 23 and 24. The continuation of a conversation between and yes. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiyarayat. Mahattatvad Vikurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shaktir Ahankaras Trividha Samapadyata Mahatadvad Akurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shaktir Ahankaras Trividha Samapadyata Mahatadvad Akurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shaktir Ahankaras Trividha Samapadyata Mahatadvad Akurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shaktir Ahankaras Trividha Samapadyata. Please chant. Mahatadvad Vikurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shakti Rahankaras Trividha Samapadyata Mahadadvad Vikurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat Kriya Shakti Rahankaras Trividha Samapadyata Mahatadvad Vikurvanad Bhagavad Virya Sambhavad Kriya Shakti Rahankaras Trividha Samapadyata. I'll read the next verse. Vaikarikas taijascha tamasascha yato bhavaha manasaschindriyanam cha bhutanam hatam api. Synonyms. Mahatattvat, from the Mahatattva. Vikurvanat, undergoing a change. Bhagavad Virya Sambhavat, evolve from the Lord's own energy. Kriya Shakti, endowed with active power. Samapadyata, that's not where we are. Ahankara, the material ego. Tribidha, of the three kinds. Samapadyata, sprang up. Vaikaryaka, material ego in transformed goodness. Taijasaha, material ego in passion. Cha, and. Tamasa, material ego in ignorance. Cha, also. Yataha, from which. Bhavaha, the origin. Manasaha, of the mind. Cha, and. Indriyanam, of the senses for perception and action. Cha, and. Bhutanam Mahatam, of the five gross elements. Api, also. Please open the door. Just to see if anyone's going to repeat that. Yeah, just need the door open. Let a little air in here and someone, a little more. Big enough for someone to walk in. Someone may walk in, join the class. Okay, just let some air in, be nice. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, the two verses. The material ego springs up. You ever want to know where your false ego comes from? In case you wanted to return it, right? Send it back. The material ego springs up from the Mahatattva, which evolved from the Lord's own energy. So you can blame Krishna for it, right? It's his energy, we can blame him for all of our problems. People do that. Yeah, it's all Krishna's fault. Material ego is endowed predominantly with active power of three kinds. So our false ego is three kinds of influences. Good, passionate, and ignorant. It is from these three types of material ego that the mind, the senses of perception, the organs of action, and the gross elements evolve. So as this chapter goes on, there'll be some detail about the different modes of nature mixing with the false ego and what different elements are evolved, you could say, or produced from that mixture. Because everything as you may have already understood is explained, everything goes from subtle to gross, beginning with what's called tan mantra, sound. That's the first and everything. So, the elements and so on. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the beginning, from clear consciousness or the pure state of Krishna consciousness, the first contamination sprang up. And Prabhupada says in that his address on the Hare Krishna mantra, on the LP, the little 45, we were all originally Krishna conscious. Right? Prabhupada says, we were all originally Krishna conscious. That's what he's saying right here. In the beginning, from clear consciousness or the pure state of Krishna consciousness, the first contamination sprang up. This is called false ego, or identification of the body as self. The living entity exists in the natural state of Krishna consciousness, but he has marginal independence, and this allows him to forget Krishna. Originally, pure Krishna consciousness exists, but because of misuse of marginal independence, there is a chance of forgetting Krishna. This is exhibited in actual life. That means our day-to-day life. So Prabhu gives an example here. There are many instances in which someone acting in Krishna consciousness suddenly changes. What happened, Prabhu? Where's so-and-so? Okay, that's not what it says here. I'm adding to the purport here. Okay. Originally, pure Krishna consciousness exists, but because of misuse of marginal dependence, there is a chance of forgetting Krishna. This is exhibited in actual life. There are many instances in which someone acting in Krishna consciousness suddenly changes. In the Upanishads, it is stated, therefore, that the path of spiritual realization is just like the sharp edge of a razor. The example is very appropriate. One shaves his cheeks with a sharp razor very nicely, but as soon as his attention is diverted from the activity, he immediately cuts his cheek because he mishandles the razor. Not only must one come to the stage of pure Krishna consciousness, but one must also be very careful. Any inattentiveness or carelessness may cause fall down. This fall down is due to false ego. From the status of pure consciousness, the false ego is born because of misuse of independence. We cannot argue why. Here's a good sentence here. We cannot argue why false ego arises from pure consciousness. Factually, there is always the chance that this will happen, and therefore one has to be very careful. False ego is the basic principle for all material activities which are executed in the modes of material nature. Right, Damodar? As soon as one deviates from pure Krishna consciousness, he increases his entanglement in material reaction. The entanglement of materialism is the material mind, and from this material mind, the senses and gross organs become manifest. A lot in this purport, huh? So, again, the translation. The material ego springs up from the Mahatattva, which evolved from the Lord's own energy. The material ego is endowed predominantly with the active power of three kinds: good, passionate, ignorant. It is from these three types of material ego that the mind, the senses of perception, the organs of action, and the gross elements evolve. So, Prabhupada, again, he said, is we're all originally Krishna conscious. So you could say part of this purport is the discussion about how is it possible, if one's Krishna conscious, that they can pure Krishna consciousness, how in the world will they ever come to this material world? It doesn't make any sense, right? How is that possible that one could forget Krishna? Now, but Prabhupada says in actual life we see it happening all the time. One of the prime examples given is, what's his name, Krishnadas? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's servant in South India. Now here's someone who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took with him on a tour of South India. So he's associating with the Supreme Personality of Godhead every day. You know, intimate service, just him and Lord Chaitanya. They must have had a wonderful time. You imagine that, just being with Lord Chaitanya, serving him, and then watching all the exhibitions of ecstasy and his preaching, and overwhelming ecstasy, and just what a amazing, just like you devotees would travel with Prabhupada and you hear their diaries and so on. What it's like to be in the association of a Paramahamsa, right? So imagine the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead acting as the perfect devotee. But after some time, how long were they traveling in South India? 2 years? That tour?
6 years traveling.
Well, all together,
Yeah.
his travels. But his South India.
I'm not sure.
South India was at least more, because he didn't take a train back then. You walked. He walked everywhere. So it was a few years. But near the end of the trip, something happened. Some gypsy women belonging to the Bhattaharis, they enticed him to come and join the camp. Right? So here he is associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he became allured by some gypsy women like that. And Lord Chaitanya, well, my servant's gone. Where are they? Well, they're the Bhattaharis. So he came to the camp of the Bhattaharis and he said, I'm a sannyasi, this is my servant, I want him back. And they said, oh, you can't have him back, because that's how they used to increase their numbers. They'd have the women go out and entice them to join, like that. And they tried to attack Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They charged at him with weapons. You know what happened? All the weapons turned around and started hitting them. And they all ran away, screaming and yelling. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says he grabbed Krishnadas by his sika, pulled him out. pulled him out. That's where that expression used to come from. Oh, Krishna will save you by your sika. Like just as he did Krishnadas. So, how is it possible? It seems inconceivable that you're associating with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and you fall into that kind of maya. And of course, he was very, very repentant. When they got back to Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I don't want him anymore. You do with him what you want. He's useless to me. He was very upset. But the devotees were very merciful. They engaged Krishnadas in the service of going and telling the devotees in Bengal that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had returned to Puri. So the devotees are very kind. So that's one example that's given. Another point is that Prabhupada says here about free will. If we don't have free will, if you don't, like to choose, free will means you have a choice, right? If there's nothing to choose from, where's your free will? Another point, in other words, they talk about how no one could ever fall from the spiritual world. There's an argument like that. We couldn't have fallen from the spiritual world because there's no Maya there. But the point is, Prabhupada saying you can always fall. This is right here in this purport. And also, we have free will, which means you can choose. We can choose. So if you don't know what you can choose between, how can you choose? Just like this morning, if I say, Balaram, choose what you want for breakfast. There's pancakes, pancakes, pancakes. What do you want for breakfast? There's no choosing. Why? There's only one thing. Pancakes. Right? You can't make a choice. I said, what are you asking me to choose? It's just pancakes. It's not like there's pancakes and that's it. One thing. Right? So there has to be, the living entity has to know, if he has free will, there's Krishna and there's Maya. Like that. Another argument given is that if we didn't fall from the spiritual world, if we started out in the material world, what kind of God is that? What kind of God is that would push us into the material world? Like that. Keep us, in the material world. What kind of God is that? So, the Prabhupada is making the point here. We're all originally Krishna conscious in the spiritual world, and a very, very subtle platform, we thought maybe there's something else, and immediately you're removed. It's not like you're hanging out for a while. Just like sometimes someone will come to the temple and live here for a while, and then they're still here and they're doing all kinds of horrible things, and they're still here, and then all of a sudden, finally, they kick them out. Ask them to leave. It's just not, right? But in the spiritual, it's not like that. Just the thought. So here Maharaj says, it's not like you're hiding behind a desire tree smoking a cigarette or something like that in the spiritual world, and Krishna finally catches you. It doesn't go that far. Just the thought. Just the thought. Like that. Then you're gone. Because you don't belong there. It's not like it's a whole horrible thing and Krishna pulls you out in front of all the cowherd boys and everyone laughs at you. You're in Maya, nonsense. No, it's just you're gone. Because Krishna knows that. You just don't belong there. Go someplace where you'll be happy. And that's why you go to the material world. And of course you start as Lord Brahma, because you're not, just like it says here in the bottom of the purport, as soon as one deviates from pure Krishna consciousness, he increases his entanglement in material reaction. There's a whole chain going on for millions and millions of lifetimes. But when we first come here, we don't have that chain of reaction because we just had an idea. So Krishna says, okay, this is what it's like. And then from there, what's going to happen? Let's see. Maybe you just say, that's enough, I want to go back, or you go down. But once that chain starts happening, it's very, very difficult to get out because of how powerful the false ego is. I remember one devotee was giving a lecture, he was saying about false ego. You can't see it, but it is so big, you probably couldn't fit in through the temple room doors. It's just so big. It's like, if we actually had a measurement of our false ego, it's so big, how can you fit through a door? Like that. So it's very, very big and it's very, very powerful. It has what's that song? It has a hold on us. Is there a song like that? It's got a hold on you, got a hold on me or something. It's got a hold on us. A big one. Like that. Full Nelson. You know what a half Nelson is? You know what a half Nelson is? You never had your brother beat you up or anything like that? Oh, you missed out. Do you have your brother beat you up? Or your sisters beat you up? Okay. You know what a half Nelson is? Does anyone know what a half Nelson is? No. So you take the back like this. That's a half Nelson. Like that. You like give it up. Like that. You push up the arm. Oh, you guys never got beat up by your neighbors. Maybe siblings don't beat each other up anymore, huh? Okay. They pull a gun on you now, huh? Okay. Okay. So the material nature of the false ego is like a full Nelson. It's like, it's got us. And it's described here, it's of three kinds. Goodness, passion, ignorance. The ego, because it's all false ego. Someone may think, I'm in goodness. Right? So you have this little magnet. It's a picture of this woman, like a farmer girl, and she goes, I don't eat milk, I don't eat meat, milk, processed foods, hold this long list. I only subsist on self-righteousness. It's kind of goofing on people who are healthy, health nuts and so on like that. So I don't exist on self-righteousness. Like that. So it's even someone in the mode of goodness, that's false ego too. Oh, I'm a Brahmin, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. That's still identifying with this material world. So devotional service means to go beyond. What is that verse by Narada Muni? Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. All our designations, we need to become liberated. Devotional service liberates us. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Nirmalam. They're all dirty, all these dirty things. And engage in the service of the master of the senses. That's called devotional service. When we become free from all our upadis. Upadi means designations, false designations. I'm this, I'm that. That's the purifying process of devotional service. So the last verse, who gave class? Was it yesterday? Vijay. He gave an analogy of what clear consciousness was like, or is like.
Like rainwater?
Yeah, like clear reservoir, like clear water. Like that, just clear water, you can see right through it. So, what do you see? You see Krishna, you see everything, you see everything in his reality. But when it becomes mixed with mud, you can't see anything. There's the Sanskrit word manumalam, all the dirty things in the mind. So it's like dirt, just you can't see anything. We don't see things properly. But when it's all clear, we see everything very nice. So the point is the false ego mixes everything up. So there can be the mixture of goodness, the mixture of passion, and ignorance, or a combination thereof. So, but the process of devotional service actually means to bring about that purity in our consciousness. But we have to be very careful, because at any moment it can change, Prabhupada says here. Just like you're shaving. Does anyone here need to take a shave today? If you're shaving, remember this verse, right? You have to be very careful. Don't get distracted. So-and-so is talking to you and like that. Oh, Prabhu, Like that. Be very, very careful. It's like a razor's edge. It works very nicely to clean the face, but if we're inattentive, then all of a sudden something happens. There's bloodshed. Bloodshed. Like that. It happens. It's not good. We immediately cut. So that's the example given in the Upanishads. So we have to be always very, very vigilant in our execution of Krishna consciousness, because what it's saying is just some inattention. All of a sudden things go wrong. Being inattentive. Like that. So Prabhupada would say, pay attention. We have to pay attention to what we're doing. And that's very, very important. And this fall down is due to false ego. So this would mean that if anyone deviates from the path of spiritual progress, it means the only reason is false ego. Right? There can't be any other reason. So people give so many reasons, but if you examine, it's based on the false ego. They're identifying with something of this material world. They're not identifying with something of the spiritual world. Are they? Do you ever seen that? Someone gives a superior spiritual reason for giving up the path of Krishna consciousness. They found a higher truth. Right? So. Now, boy, it's time for the class to end. Maybe we'll just read a little bit. Now, in your recollection of the books, because we're discussing here about progressing very nicely in Krishna consciousness, and also the things and mistakes we can make, which will hamper our devotional service. There are many different instructions throughout all the books that we read. But does anyone know, besides Damodar, because he would know this?
because he has a clue this morning. Where in Prabhupada's books is there very succinct information about what we need to do to be successful and what we need to do to watch out for that will destroy our devotional service? What comes? Upadeshamrita. What verses? All of them? Second and third. That's what I'm referring to here. The 6 causes of success and the 6 causes of unsuccess, what we have to watch out for. So I'll just read the translations if that's okay, because it's already, unless breakfast is going to be with 2 cooks for 4 people, it's going to be at 9:15 or something. But Prabhupada is very, very emphatic. The devotees study this book, and you read in the different pastimes too. When it came out, I remember it coming out. Prabhupada had them. They were thinking, "Oh, this is the book just for devotees in the temple." It's very, just even the first one's about sadhana bhakti and so on. Then it gets into Radha Kund and so on. But Prabhupada wanted, it even says in here maybe, what the first printing was. Previous printings, 530,000 books. And Prabhupada wanted this widely distributed. In other words, Prabhupada wanted it like that. He wanted it widely distributed. So yes, previous printings 530,000, and then in 2010, 50,000. So Prabhupada wanted distributed to understand the science of devotional service. Upadeshamrita, what does that mean? Upadeshamrita, the nectar of instruction. So, okay, so text 2, it's interesting that first text is about what to watch out for. Isn't that interesting? Instead of actually the very first verse you quoted. Who quoted? You quoted? What was that? Manasa? Bhacha vegam manasa krodha vegam udarabhastava. Like that. It goes right down the line there. So I guess this is like a wake up. Hare Krishna Prabhus. There's a problem here. We've got to watch out. Watch out for these things. And then he tells you what the positive is. But have you studied Bhakti Shastri? When you study this book, does it say why there's in that order? Is that discussed at all, or any comments?
Why it's in that order?
Well, yeah, some negative prohibitions, then it goes into something positive.
Well, no, I didn't exactly.
Okay.
But I'm thinking about that. It was mentioned the other day in the 12th canto. It says all the ills of Kali Yuga.
Right.
All the things that would go. And then at the very end, it says.
Krishna.
But the wonderful thing about this age
Right.
is simply channel and to go back to God. And it is.
As-
It's a nice idea to end on a positive note.
Ending on a okay, yeah. You're moving from our problem to positive, and then it goes into the devotees and devotee association, then Radhakund and so on. So there is a progression. The authors of these books are very, very elevated souls, both materially and spiritually, and there's a plan. It's not like, hey, I got an idea. How they write the books is very significant. I was just hearing the other day about Bhaktivinoda Thakur, his songs. They're actually, if you study them, they're for all 3 levels of devotees in the same song. That's what Prabhupada said. The devotees asked, well, could we write our own songs? Prabhupada said, no, just follow the acharyas, because it's not just, when someone on a level of Krishna consciousness writes a song, it's actually written in such a way where all 3 levels of devotees, it hits their heart. We don't have that qualification because we don't even know what it's like to be an advanced devotee. But an advanced devotee writes something, he can make sure it applies to all different levels, so all devotees appreciate it and can follow it. So text 2, this is the Shadbir Bhakti Banashyati. What does Banashyati mean? Destroyed. And one's devotional service is spoiled when he becomes too entangled in the following 6 activities. So I guess that means you can become a little entangled, right? A little bit. It's okay. I don't know. But anyways, 1, eating more than necessary or collecting more funds than required. Okay. 2, over-endeavoring for mundane things that are very difficult to obtain. 3, talking unnecessarily about mundane subject matters. 4, practicing the scriptural rules and regulations only for the sake of following them and not for the sake of spiritual advancement or rejecting the rules and regulations of the scriptures and working independently or whimsically. 5, associating with worldly-minded persons who are not interested in Krishna consciousness. And 6, being greedy for mundane achievements. So, of course, there's a few pages of purport here elaborating on these points. And the next one, text 3, Shadbir Bhakti Prasiddhyati. So, Damodar, what do you think prasiddhyati means? Vinashyati means destroyed. What does prasiddhyati means? Yes. There are 6 principles favorable to the execution of pure devotional service. 1, being enthusiastic. 2, endeavoring with confidence. 3, being patient. 4, acting according to regulative principles such as Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. 5, abandoning the association of non-devotees. And 6, following in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. These 6 principles undoubtedly assure the complete success of pure devotional service. This is endeavoring with confidence. I was reading in Vishaka's memoirs, that new book that came out, 11 Years, 5 Months, which I recommend reading. She was saying the point that Prabhu was all alone in New York in the first year before he established ISKCON. There was letters back and forth from his godbrothers, and he was asking for help, and no one would help him. And someone said something about coming on back or this or that. And Prabhupada said, I am not one to be easily discouraged. But you can imagine if Prabhupada, because he went and saw Mr. Forrester. Who is Mr. Forrester? Does anyone remember? No. Mr. Forrester. Ticket. Yeah, he was a ticket person for what? Going back on the Jaladuta. So he went twice, just to see, like that. Because Mr. Forrester knew he wouldn't leave. But how about if Prabhupada did? In that book it points, you know what night hunger is? Or night starvation? The word is starvation or hunger. Prabhupada suffered from that. He didn't have enough food. At night he was hungry. He went to bed hungry. When he was living in that office where his typewriter and everything was stolen, he didn't have enough money. He was barely eating, and he was actually suffering from night hunger, going to bed hungry every night. That doesn't happen here very often, does it? Maybe the opposite. So, but anyways, endeavoring, confident he was. So he said, "I'm not one to be easily discouraged." I mean, the level of discouragement, like that, just all by himself, and like that. And then, I guess that came out after that. Everything was stolen. All his only worldly possessions, a typewriter and a few things, all taken. Like that. Or that when he's living in the loft and the guy he's living with went crazy on LSD and attacked Prabhupada with a knife. Prabhupada ran down the stairs and went to Mukunda's Maharaj's place. I mean, like, maybe one of us would think, well, maybe it's time to get out of town. Get out of Dodge. You ever heard that expression? Get out of Dodge? Like that. It's time to get out of here. It's like, these people are crazy. If you won't go, let's see, where'd you go on SanDiego yesterday? UCSD. So every time you go to UCSD, they run at you with knives. Do you think maybe I shouldn't go back there? Right? You think, I don't know about this place for SanDiego. Right? They're dangerous place, So Prabhupada's here, and this is like, maybe I should go back. But Prabhupada said, I'm not one to be easily discouraged. He's endeavoring with confidence. He knew he had full confidence that Krishna will take care of everything. We just keep pushing, keep preaching, like that. So, but that's to be studied regularly. These 2 verses would be very, very helpful, because as Prabhupada's pointing out here, in actual life we see it. False ego is always there. I mean, there's so many different things we'll be reading about. Just like the mind in the, what canto is that? The mind is compared to a wild animal. When you capture a wild animal, you put it in a cage. And you think, Damodar, you think that the animal's okay. It's just like, it's being so peaceful. Like that. Maybe I can let it out of the cage. What happens? Right? Just like they have these, was it years ago, those 2 lion trainers in Vegas, they have some show. I don't know